Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 488. We're going to be jumping in with one of the new champions today, right? We've been going on this kind of nostalgia fix over the past few videos. We just got in a Teemo trial a couple of videos ago, and then this one we're going to take forth with Yuumi and whatever she can bring to the table. And so, I mean, the Pets and Pecs archetype, it's not going to be up on the site. It's not on ftpbus.com. I don't have the bots up and running anymore. You may be able to find some resources out there that where people have manually gone through and picked them up. But me personally, I have not gone through and dealt with that. But nonetheless, a pretty reasonable start here with Yuumi, right? She wants to pair up with Pantheon, and this is really taking advantage of the Fated archetype. And so we have a Fated unit here in the Assisted Librarian, and then this is pretty strong. If we attach a Yuumi to it, it gets the Fated bonus. We attach a Quick Quill to it, it gets the Fated bonus, and we're looking to really build tall and go tall on one single unit, make one unit extremely, extremely powerful. And as far as these cards go, I don't feel like that's ultra necessary. The Quick Quill is quite good. It works on anything. It wants to get paired off with something with Challenger. Yuumi just works on anything as well. Just growing your units over and over again is pretty strong. The Assistant Librarian takes a bit of work to be good, but a single target on this turns it into a real and fantastic unit as well. And so it's kind of wild, isn't it? I guess a Nexus strike is much more challenging to pull off than just a regular strike, but seeing things like the Ionia unit, the 3 mana 2/2 that strikes to draw a spell out of your deck, and comparing it to a 2/2 fated unit that just Nexus strikes to draw cards. So it's tougher to pull off the Nexus strike. I concede that, but just way more powerful, in my opinion, than that Ionia card. But nonetheless, we're going to have to kind of see what turns up in the next pack to determine what we want to draft towards. If it turns out to be like a Pantheon or a Taric that turns up, then we'll probably just build around those champions. And then if that's not the case, we'll just have to kind of run around and see what we can do. But we did pull up the partner pairing here in Pantheon. I'm completely happy to switch to drafting around Pantheon. And he kind of interests me as well. Like he's just a strong champion all on his own. Just has a nice game flow to him to where, you can play him on our attack token, probably get some damage in. Maybe your opponent blocks just to stop the big chunk from happening, and then you get a reasonable block the next turn, or just shut down a combat from your opponent and then get the attack the next turn. Like the way I typically look at Pantheon is he plays in two stages, as to where you play the first Pantheon, you just get some card advantage out of it. Maybe you chunk in for 4 damage or so, and then your second Pantheon is the one that comes down and wins the game. And so we'll see how that plays out. The big thing we run into in terms of leveling up Pantheon are we need to find the cheap cards that generate gems. And so we're going to be looking for the likes of Gift Giver, the likes of Mountain Goat. Very similarly, out of Bandle City, we'll be looking for things like Yordle Squire. We just have to be churning off all of these spells over and over again to get the Pantheon to flip. And then the next part of that key with Pantheon is you're paying the spell tax, right? If we're trying to spend 1 mana every turn on a gem or on a Yordle Spear or whatever, then that's going to limit the units that we're able to add to the board. And so we tend to want to keep our curve extremely low. If we need to end the game, then we should be doing it with a big Fated unit, or doing it with a Pantheon, or with Yuumi making a unit grow, and not so much in terms of just expensive units. And so that's what we'll be looking for here today. The last kind of thing I'm curious with is if it's actually better to just like draft 2 Pantheons and 2 Yuumis. Like maybe depending on how our curve plays out, if we kind of ignore that first Pantheon that we're talking about, the just kind of value package early game one, and then just look to play a flipped one later on, then I could see an argument for just having 2 Pantheon, 2 Yuumis. But yeah, we'll have to see how it comes together throughout the draft. Okay, so we're most definitely not jumping into Bilgewater. It's a reasonable set of units, don't get me wrong, these are pretty high quality, but this is not going to play to any of the themes we're looking for, so we'll let the Bilgewater go. Then down here to the right, I don't suspect we'll be playing Mountain Scryers. The Allegiance is just too challenging to pull off, so that brings us back here to the beginning. The Group Shot and Pale Cascade are fine. Pale Cascade's a great cycling combat trick, and the Group Shot gives us some good interactivity. Okay, on to the next one. Again, very easy skip here in the middle. We don't want to jump into Freylord, but then these cards are pretty trash after that, right? This is kind of a crappy pack, let's be real. I think we're stuck with the Keeper's Verdict Purpleberry Shake, right? We're not going to have any discard outlets for these Duskbringers to be good. We're not going to have enough Nightfall cards to make it relevant, just really going to be some Pale Cascades. And the thing that these factions really lack are a big removal spell, and so you can find Sunburst out of Targon. You can get Minimorph out of Bandle City, but Keeper's Verdict is about as good as it gets in a kind of guaranteed answer to an opposing unit, if you will. And so not amped about either of these, but it's better than the other options that were offered. And oh, here we go. Here is what's going to be one of the defining picks of the draft. A couple of things going on here, right? We do have the mentors starting to turn up. This is the go wide Bandle City kind of thing that we see here with the Yordle Smith, Yordle Captain. Both of these units are extremely, extremely powerful. Now, the way that this would start to point us here is moving away from Pantheon and then building towards Yuumi. Right? Because in terms of, like, what do we have going for us in terms of Pantheon right now? We have a Pale Cascade, right? We don't have any Fated units except for this Assistant Librarian. We haven't seen the Gift Giver. We haven't seen the Mountain Goat. We haven't seen the one-cost Fated unit. And so the build around to Pantheon is not looking spectacular. If we look to this more Pantheon-centric pack here, Papercraft Dragon is extremely, extremely strong. Crescent Guardian is okay, but these don't fill in those gaps we're looking for, right? They don't give us those early plays. They don't generate any spells for us. These are just good, kind of like strong cards. I was trying to think of the word. It's not build around cards, just good cards, right? The good card strategy, good cards are what these are going to be. And so I'm kind of like envisioning in my brain piece here, if we say push away from the Pantheon theme, look to build towards Yuumi, and then go with a go wide strategy with the Yordles. I think that could be okay, because like the thing with Yuumi is if we have a completely full board, we can just attach Yuumi or we can attach Quick Quill to something, and then we don't have to worry. You know, it's like getting an additional unit on the board. I think this can work out okay. And then if it doesn't, if we start to see Fated units from this point forward, I think we can still fix it from there, right? We didn't take a big loss to add Yordle Captain or to add Yordle Smith into our deck. Both of those are just extremely strong units. Okay, so moving on. Another tough pack. I think we just want the Crescent Guardian out of this one. We can get pretty good usage out of this. The 3/3 is a little bit bigger than the Yordles like to see, but it's a very good game ender. Otherwise, I think the Minimorph is better than the Keeper's Verdict, but I'm not really stoked about Primal Strength. I mean, maybe we should be. It's a pretty powerful combat trick. It's just like a little bit more expensive than I like to pay. So I think I'm just going to go with the Crescent Guardian here. Okay, and then Rainbow Fish it is. This is this is a card I've talked about kind of extensively here recently. I don't think cards like this really belong in Expedition. They just, if you're playing Constructed and having to deal with elusives over and over again, or dealing with Rainbow Fish over and over again, you can kind of construct your deck to deal with it. But this is like extremely tough to deal with in Expedition more than once. And it turns out just by, via the attach mechanic, you tend to have to deal with this thing a whole bunch. And so, let's go ahead and pick up a copy. We're also getting the Yordle Smith out of it. I would much rather have the Rainbow Fish than the Pompous Cavalier. Okay. A second Rainbow Fish, definitely not as good as the first one. This isn't a card that we really want to be drawing in multiple copies, and so I'm not super interested in this one. I'm over here leaning towards the Buster Shot, just getting a good removal spell along with another combat trick. The Flame Spitter works fantastically with the likes of Yordle Smith, and so I think this is where we want to be. Okay, what's our allegiance look like here? We could actually pull off these Gruff Grenadiers if we want, but I'm not super interested in Minimorph here. The other kind of options, I think I want the Bandle City Mayor. This is an extremely powerful card. We can build towards the go wide multi-faction kind of stuff if that's what's going to be turning up. It's just otherwise, I don't think we want the Librarian. We've kind of passed on the Fated theme at this point. It's still a reasonable unit, but not something I want to go out of my way to take. I think Bandle City Mayor is where it's at here. Okay. Not opposed to the Aloof Travelers. The Bandle Gunners are pretty weak, though. I think here we just want the Kelp Maidens with the Wizard. Just a pretty strong early game package. I do worry a little bit about our top end. We do have Rainbow Fish that just completely counts as great late game stuff. But, man, do we really need Bandle Gunners? I don't like this card very much. We summoned from 4 regions. Can we pull that off? Like, lots of Bandle City. Pantheon is Targon. This is going to be pretty tough to pull off. Let's go with the early game package here. I do think Mountain Goat is better than both the Maidens and the Wizard, but the Freed Colossus is pretty meh. Okay, an interesting one here. I like the Bandle Commando the most out of all of these units, but the Purple Berry Shake's pretty weak. I'm leaning towards just taking the additional Assistant Librarian here along with the Combat Trick. Protoporo is kind of interesting, right? Counts as a Freylord card for the four faction kind of themes, but I think we're more of a Mentors deck than a World Travelers deck, a go wide deck. A go wide deck as opposed to a multi-faction deck. So the Librarian it is. Not really interested in the Bandle Painter, but this is a pretty bad set of cards. How do we look about Spacey Sketcher, right? We have the 1 Yordle Squire. Kelp Maidens generates cards. That's 2. I feel like that's about the end of it. Yeah, not particularly strong. I guess the Bandle Painter is probably the best cycle out of these, although the Startled Stomper is the unit that I'm actually wanting from here. Maybe we do just take the Startled Stomper. Okay, I'm on board with that. I convinced myself there at the end. Here, finally, we pick up the Minimorph with the Yordle Captain. That looks pretty beautiful. The Yordle Captain's the big build-around that we need here. And then coming from here, this is a tough one, right? The best unit out of all of these is the Bandle Commando. But I don't really want 2 Minimorphs and 2 Keeper's Verdicts. But I think it's probably strong enough just to go ahead and come in and take. Yeah, I'll just be sad about it. And okay, here, the Wizard for the Commando is an upgrade. Let's go ahead and snatch that one up as well. So, all right, you all know what time it is. We do have to go turn something premium. Let's take a peek at what we have access to here. Not owned. Moving into Bandle City. We're usually good for a Bandle City common, but let's see what's here. Ooh, Rainbow Fish? All right. This is definitely going to win us some games we don't deserve now. getting the Rainbow Fish and turning it premium. Okay, so let's get to it. And so yeah, this is what I would just consider to be a good card stack. I'm not a huge fan of good card stacks. We can kind of like build to the themes a little bit. We can get more Yordle Captains. We can get more. What's your name down here? Your Yordle Smith. But I'm not. Like building around a champion. It's like Yuumi is just a good card in this deck. We could add in Poppies, but not like amped about that. Should be amped about adding in Poppies. He's just like one of the real top tier champions of the game, but not quite exactly what I'm looking for. Oh, leading with the Frozen Thrall, huh? All right. See if we can't beat him up before that comes a thing. I did need to stop and see what kind of multi-region stuff we have in hand now that we picked up the Mayor. We don't currently have any, so we won't be getting anything cheaper just by adding him to the board. Oh my god, I hate faces of the old ones. Let me go for an incoming rant. Awesome, opponent hit. Okay. All right, let's start in with the Mayor. I think we want to go with the Poro Sled. He should have a pretty tough time interacting with this next turn, even with the ramp. I think he'll be okay. The question is, do we want to go ahead and prank? I think it's okay. Like we're kind of far away from dropping the combat tricks here. Don't care about the troll gifts. We'll just make the Bloodsworn Pledge expensive. Not a bad place to be in. We can get the Yordle Captain down. He'll start to improve the Poro Sled once it gets to attacking. This is probably a safe attack with everything. He can hit the Bandle City Mayor with the Lysandra, but it's not a like the end of the world. We're going to very easily just refill our board. So he's got a Bloodsworn Pledge, a Troll Gifts, a card that costs 8 or more, and then one other card. 2 at this point. Keeper's Verdict was a great addition. If we can start to return whatever their expensive card is.
Welcome to the team.
Right, so I don't think we want to open attack here. We're going to get tons of units on the board. Rainbow Fish is a pretty interesting addition. But let's go ahead and add in the Yordle Smith. Give us a big quick attack play here. And then if he does find a way to just drop a giant dude, then we could just consider switching to Rainbow Fish. I'm kind of leaning towards just using the Pale Cascade in this combat, though. So it's like we attack with everything. He blocks the Poro Sled with the Alpha Wild Claw, and then we just Pale Cascade through it. We still have the Keeper's Verdict ready for whatever the big expensive Dum-Dum he has is, and then we should have good trades across the board the rest of the way. So let's go ahead and prank. And say maybe we'll find his expensive one. Absolutely make it the stairs expensive. It's boom. Let's boom. That the stairs was going to be a problem. I'm glad we got that dum-dum dealt with. All right, thank you, Poro Sled. You did well more than you were asked of this game. Basically, the old ones is gone. This is looking good. I didn't realize we were playing Poros today. +2 cost on Entomb. Sounds good. So we've seen the whole hand at this point. Right. Expensive Entomb, 10 mana at the stairs, Trollgriff's Bloodsworn Pledge. All looking good. So here we just need to like spend mana, right? Let's make our biggest boy elusive. That looks pretty good. We can open with a Hush next turn. I mean, should we just go ahead and replace the Jubilant Poro? Adding in an Overwhelm unit with the Startled Stomper seemed pretty decent. It's going to get the bonus from the Yordle Captain as well. And we just have Hushes and stuff for next turn. I like it. Okay. Aw. I forgot the that just completely gets rid of our Yordle Fish. That's stupid. These cards are dumb. See if he drops that expensive Bloodsworn Pledge. If he Bloodsworn Pledges this Lysandra, I'm just gonna Keeper's Verdict her away. Yep. Is it worth? Hang on. We still have the Hush in hand. It's gonna take away the Tough, so she'll still die at 3. There is a reasonable chance we should have just overwritten the Frozen Tomb. Just gone for the lethal. Like, we should still be, like, relatively safe. He can like, we have the open attack a turn from now that we can use to avoid the Ithid Stairs, but I think what would have probably been safe there would have just been to, like, play our additional prank. See if we get to see their last remaining card, and then if their last remaining card isn't something that could win the game, or stop us from winning the game, then we just go ahead and boom. Okay, so what are we gonna do out of these? Like, I'm content with going like full good cards here, right? If we just want to look at Pantheon as being a good card, something we maybe flip like once this run, I think that's kind of okay. And then here we get to pick up the Telescope along with Pale Cascade. Like these are really, really powerful cards. Poppy is of course like the most powerful champion. The spells she's paired with are complete garbage here, though, right? We don't want the Purple Berry Shakes. We already have 2 mini morphs. We've talked about the mini morph and Keeper's Verdict kind of thing. I don't really want to add those into our deck. I think we're just going to go with Pantheon here. Then maybe we'll pick up a Yuumi as our next champion or something. We'll see. I'm not opposed to it. Say, I'm just here to play some good cards, right? Synergies be damned. Oof. All the dragons. Sure. So let's see. I think, man, this is tough. It's like I think the Yordle Captain is likely better than just like better than Pantheon in this deck. So I'm going to cycle him away. I usually won't do that kind of thing where we cycle away our cheap champions at this stage of the draft, but I'm just like way more interested in this Yordle Captain, and I don't want to hang on to 2 4-drops. Okay, kind of interesting with the Serpent. I don't intend to just play it here. I want to wait until we get the Yordle Captain on the board. Okay. There is some argument to have like not played this just to bank the mana coming into the Yuumi turn, but the Silver Stomper is a great target for Yuumi, attaching the bonuses to a Overwhelm unit. It's one of the stronger things we can do.
Follow me. I know where I'm going.
All right, let's see if that Shyvana comes down. We're pretty strong against Shyvana here.
Welcome to the team.
All right, here come them damages. Keep the Yordle Captain back. I'm not amped about just losing him to a singular combat trick here. We can build up our board like a little bit more, and once we're ready with like a Flame Spitter and the Yordle Captain, I'll feel better about it. Like next to turn should be a pretty decent place to attack. All them Dragon Guards, huh?
Well, just do your best, okay?
Hey, dude, here comes the thunder. I hope you're ready for it. With a Pale Cascade. Okay. Get them Pantheon boosts and the Pale Cascade. The Pale Cascade. All them words. Trying to make words real hard. Yeah, this looks good. Enjoy, my dude. Great spot for either trick here on the Taric. This should be good. He's gonna have to like play tricks before the combat happens. Oh, he just passes. I guess he doesn't. Okay. Okay. I think at the end of the day, if he plays like a trick here on Taric, and then like it's tough for him to actually win that combat. Has the Radiant. Okay. I think we're looking good. And I'm going to hang on to this prank. I would like to draw a card off this Pale Cascade potentially, and this gives us a little bit of options in those turns. Probably wait until next turn, or next attack token, I should say, to just prank and then open, so that we still get to open attack and to be Nightfallen. This has been the best startled stomper ever. You've been putting in the work, my dude.
Are still monsters.
Break them.
Okay. Whatever your thing is, you can do it. Not worried about this 4 damage at this stage. One of the only ways that this would go like really poorly is if we like blocked the Shyvana and then he has some kind of weird combat trick. Not happy about any of those kind of things. Give me them Yuumi flips. Tenor of Terror is something where I think I'm willing to forego open attacking. Just getting both of these impacts on the board is pretty strong. Nice.
The gods see they can bleed. They know they can die.
Okay, let's see what turns up. What do we got? Yordle Explorer. That's the one that we're... Oh, it's when you summon a Yordle. I don't think our Yordle counts that high. Let's see, we have 1 in the Squire, 2-3 in the Bandle Commandos. Bandle City Mayor probably gets us to 4. Yordle Smith gets us to 5. Yeah, that's not enough to really chase after. Like a 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not opposed to adding Yordle Explorers. Let's say that. I think the Yordle Smith is probably just better. I'd rather have quick attack than this +1 attack, but that's better. That's certainly more Yordles than I gave it credit for. But let's pick up the Assistant Librarian here and move on. Okay. So I know some of y'all are wondering where the old Constructeds are at. I've been having a good time here with Expedition and making a good run at it. I know I've been bitching probably excessively about the state of Constructed, and it feels like it's kind of mellowed out. I still feel like Gnar is a little bit too powerful. And I still think that Bandle City needs some nerfs coming to it, but there's supposed to be the big balance patch coming out a little under a week from now, and so I'll definitely play some Constructed before that comes out. But I've just been like really in the mood for Expedition. It's like now that we know it's going away, it's something I want to keep in my life. So we're still out here playing. Okay, non-zero chance we get good attacks with the Yordle Smith here. There are some shutdown cards, like if he has the 1/3 Dragon Maker or something, but there's just tons of plays out of P and Z. They're just horrible against that board.
Not by a long shot.
Okay, I was stopping to think of like, how do we want to go about this in terms of getting like the Yordle Smith and the most value out of it, and do we want to save up for a combat trick next turn? I don't think that's going to completely work out. So this Caitlyn is kind of a pain in the ass. I think we pick up the Tenor of Terror. It's going to play well with our Yordle Captain, and then we're just going to have to play this like a little slow. Not big slow, just a little slow. This is that space where we really like to have a Poppy.
A quest? Leave it to me. A Demacian soldier is worth 10 foes.
Okay. We have too many tricks to get involved with this combat. I definitely don't want to be out here running a Yordle Captain into a +1/+1 or something. It just sounds terrible. All right, Lux.
Hello. Anyone want to join my party?
Ready to block. Let's just throw something away here. We're going to definitely add the Tenor of Terror, and then I think that will be it.
You're not a hero, right?
It's a decent place to throw away the Bandle City Mayor, but this is okay.
Stop, baddies. Party member down.
Have we played the created card yet? We're going to have to play Tiny Spear before we play the Tenor, I do believe. Yeah. Give me all them stats, please. Please and thank you. I'll welcome them all. Can't go bad. Like, if he has, like, a reinforcements here, it would be pretty terrible. 4 Demacia is not the end of the world. Okay.
Some encouraging words. Hello, cruel world.
I think we should be reasonably okay here. He doesn't have great blocks on a lot of our units, and he has to get involved with a lot of just, like, really high-powered bros here. But at the end of the day, I'm just kind of hoping we get a good one somewhere. See if these champions come in. If these champions don't come in, that's huge. So close to lethal.
Back down from what you believe.
That's pretty safe.
Yourself in.
A little less safe with the Caitlyn. Wouldn't surprise me to see a trick here. I mean, if he has, like, a prismatic barrier into a Lux thing, that kind of sucks, but we're still looking pretty strong on board. Well, not as strong, not as strong as I was giving ourselves credit, I guess. Sure. It's like, I know what we can do. We can just hit a ridiculous epic off the telescope and call it a day. That's what the game's all about, right? Gives her challenger. Interesting. It's pretty challenging for us here to get something good out of the mini morph. Is the sad thing. We could look. I think I'm looking at just like Keeper's Verdict, taking away Lux. But if we do that, he gets to play her with Barrier next turn. That's not super appealing. All right. Which one are you? Let's summon a Liminal Guardian. We can, like, burst this thing into play. That's pretty strong, getting a burst open out of it.
One step ahead.
Okay.
Now we wait.
He's going to have to block some of this stuff next turn. You fucking kidding me. Oh, I love that mechanic. Okay.
Three times over.
Well, it had potential to be scary for our opponent. Apparently it's not going to be, but... I was like, oh boy, let's see how ridiculous this is going to be. But I think we just stop here. Yes, we do have group shot in hand, but I'm not super worried about the Caitlyn at this point. I feel like he's going to play another barrier, and then that's going to give us an opportunity to take down the Lux. Goes for the single combat instead. All right, fine. Still not an exactly awesome space for us, but... Gotta be fucking kidding me. How many flash bombs has he really added to our deck? It's so strange that it's over 10, right? I don't... That math seems like extremely weird in terms of what that Caitlyn has been able to do, but those hits are extremely ridiculous in terms of what he's been able to manage this game.
Baddies beware, Mama's got a gun.
Alright, not super sure how we get ourselves out of this one, but we'll give it a go. Just draw Pantheon or something, right? That's like we can Purple Berry Shake the Commando for 3. This gets us up to like 5 damage. Not quite enough.
Will you comply, or are you complicit?
Still not played a 6-cost spell? That's wild.
Serving lead.
I feel like this is all we can do. It's too many value blocks if we send in more.
No place here.
So he's going to be able to hit us with both 4 Demacia and Detain next turn. All right.
Just follow the yellow light. Easy.
Got him to 5. There's the 4 Demacia, sure. Then he should be detaining before he gets into combat, right? That's how he eliminates one of our blockers. And then if we Keeper's Verdict away the unit that he detains, he didn't go for it that way. Man, it's so bad. Like, that flashbang mechanic is it's kind of whatever when it's on your side, but man, that is ultra frustrating when they hit you like that. But moving on, let's add in these assistant librarians. I think we did have the good game with Startled Stomper, but that was mainly just because we attached Yuumi to it. I think the librarians are going to be better on the whole. All right, yeah, that's one of those games. It's tough for me to really piece together how I feel. Like a lot of times you'll hear people bitch about RNG, and yeah, it's like if you don't like RNG so much, then go play chess or go play Go. That's what really brings a lot of the interesting factors. Excuse me, into these games we love to play, whether it's Runeterra or Magic or poker or some game where you're rolling dice or whatever. The D&D has an RNG aspect attached to it. That's what brings a lot of the interest into them. It's just you'll occasionally run into games like that to where it just feels fucking absurd. It wasn't, and it wasn't even like one of these games to where I have to bring to question the lottery ticket factor, right? We'll certainly run into these games on occasion to where we're like, well, is this the situation to where you're so lucky it's just your lucky day? Should we be out here buying lottery tickets, or is it perhaps we've burned through all of our luck and we have no business buying our lottery tickets? That game didn't even make me feel in those terms, but that was certainly a frustrating run at it. It's like you get it once and then kind of like, all right, whatever. But when you get it twice, it's kind of meh. Alrighty, back to the action here. I'm going low to the ground with our Bandle Commando. I assume this trade is happening? Wow. I did not expect that, but this aggression out of the Bandle Commando should be fairly strong. And now we're in this kind of decent space to where we can play the Yordle Captain next turn and then produce a big board for an attack on turn 5. No blocks. See if that Gnar's coming to the party. Nope. Got a big boy, though. Let's see if are we just going to go elusives at this point? I mean, I kind of like it. Come in for 6. We should, if we're just going to do the elusive plan, we should probably play the spear as well. We'd actually be heading for 8, right? Because we have the impact on the Bandle Commando. Then we just need to not die on his turn. Seems legit. I mean, it seems better than trying to attack into his 5/5 regenerate unit. We do have the mini morph for it at some point, but This board should be pretty tough for him to deal with. And if Gnar flips, it's going to hit our Yordle captain and leave the elusives alone. I think this is good. There's also that big potential just to boom Gnar next turn when, he flips and hits the Yordle captain, and then we just mini morph Gnar and have the value block. Kind of okay with that. Let's hit the flash freeze. He's gonna want to cast flash freeze next attack. I mean, let's be real. We're coming in here with these elusives. He's going to want to flash freeze. But okay. And Udyr. So let's just pass. I imagine he's gonna play a stance swap somewhere, and then we could just Keeper's Verdict away that unit if it feels scary. Something like this. We have to take the Gnar hit. Or what if we come down here and mini morph? I think I like this a little bit more. It feels like he's gonna have a way out, right? He's gonna have a pokey stick or something to take down the Gnar, or to take down the Yordle captain. But this stops like the big scary portion of his attack. Really excited just to see them come out here and spend mana, right? If I'm like, as I see this board, I like this hit on like Udyr less. It feels like we shouldn't just be blocking with Udyr in this space and just trying to attack around him next turn. We fall to a pretty low health total if we go that way, but. Alright, let's see if he's got the double flash freezes. Presenting the lethal here with our 3 Pale Cascades. Oh no. He's got the Brittle Steel and the Flash Freeze. F. He's not going to get to add too much to the board this turn. So we have 2 options with this, right? We just let it happen, or we Pale Cascade and punch in 2 damage. I think we just let it happen. I want to see him play the stance swap on something, and then we'll just Keeper's Verdict that unit away. Okay. Not awesome, but manageable. But Udyr came like way out of the left of his hand. Not exactly sure what that means. If he just played a different one, he should only have 1 copy of Udyr, right? 2 copies of Gnar. Does he ever lethalist here? The card that we have to worry about would be Fury of the North, or I guess 3 Sisters could get us a kill, get him a kill as well. So I'm thinking I just want to block here to the right. Then he has to have 2 cards to kill with Udyr. Okay, takes us to 1. Alright, so we can still die here, right? They have like ice shards and pokey sticks and shit like that. Decent chance that we die. Oh, did he have that stance the whole time? That was poor on us. I know that we don't have anything to draw out of this with. Yeah, we should have just blocked. It was just like the idea I had in my head with that space was if he has a frostbite, we're never winning the game. his board is too big. We have these two elusives. We have to get one of them through in combat. If he has a flash freeze or if he has a Gnar stun or whatever bullshit you have to run into with Bandle City, then we're just aced. And so it should require him to have two cards if we come out and let the Udyr through, right? It's very easy for them to deal 3 damage. It's very challenging for them to deal 4 damage. But I missed that the stance swap was in hand. I think even with the knowledge that the stance swap is in hand, we're probably still in kind of the same space as to... it's much easier for opponent to have a single flash freeze than it is for them to have the lethal combat card. Because it's just not the flash freeze. You can have mini morph, you can have Gnar stun, you can have stress defense, you can have troll chant. Like the list goes on and on and on in terms of things that get out of that combat. But the ways for them to actually deal the 3 damage there would be flame cannon, not twin disciplines, 3 sisters, or a Fury of the North. And so it's just, I think at the end of the day, it's much safer. Now, the way that we have to kind of like level into that and say, how do we feel, is we did know that the stance swap was in hand. And why would he be attacking without playing the stance swap? Like, that's the thing that gets kind of odd to me. Maybe he didn't. No, we did have the mana. I was going to say, maybe he didn't have the mana to play. He had 5 mana there, so he could have like played the overwhelmed stance swap, is what I would be kind of expecting him to do. But we didn't see it. And I guess the other kind of piece to that equation is we could have just Keeper's Verdicted away the 5/5. Maybe that would have been a little bit better as well. That would have kept him from... It's more expensive to replay the Udyr, but it gave him access to the additional stance swaps as well. Interesting turn, interesting phase. But nonetheless, yeah, that's going to do it. It's an odd deck, right? It didn't really come together in any... real and meaningful terms. I think, that's kind of the problem that you'll run into with Pantheon and Expedition, is you're looking for very specific cards, right? You're looking kind of like at tier 1, you're looking for units that say Faded. At tier 2, you're looking for spell generation, whether or not that is Gift Giver, Mountain Goat, the big one being Zenith Blade. We didn't see any Zenith Blades throughout this trial. It can be very easy to just have like a collection of supporting cards and no faded units, or a collection of faded units and nothing to target them with. And so Pantheon Yuumi is extremely, extremely powerful and constructed. It's extremely powerful in Expedition when it comes together, but to get it to come together is something I've really struggled with. I think at the end of the day, if you're looking to have Pantheon work, you just can't draft Bandle City. I think that's kind of one of the ways I'm starting to see Pantheon come together these days. It's like you're really happy to have him with Noxus. You're pretty happy to have him with Demacia. You of course want to be staying away from the factions that can't target. Like, you never want to be in Bilgewater. But I think pairing him into Bandle City is a little weak. At least in my experience. It doesn't feel like it should be, given that that faded unit that we have, like the bird, we had like 2 and 3 copies of it, but it feels just like every time I draft Bandle City with this, it seems extremely tough for it to come together. And then the flip side, when you're looking to draft around Yuumi, she is just a good card, right? She doesn't really give us a strategy. That's what I didn't really like about this deck. We have a strategy to a degree in the go wide stuff, where we have the Yordle captains and the Yordle smiths to give the attack bonuses and everything. But at the end of the day, this is like wants to be a poppy deck, and it's tough. That was a pretty bad poppy with the mini morph and something else, Purple Berry Shake. Maybe it would have been okay just to take Poppy anyways because she's so super strong, but that's then counting on like a lot of trade picks to get rid of those expensive cards that we were stuck with, and so it's tough. It's tough. That was a bad run of things to have to battle with there at the end, between the flashbang RNG and then running into good Bandle City cards against someone drawing both of their champions with a draw where we don't draw any of ours. So pretty tough spot to beat. I'm glad that we had a line there to potentially get us there in the end, but just fell a little bit short. But nonetheless, fun times. I had a good time with that draft. Hope you all enjoyed it as well. I don't think we have any rewards to click on. We do not, and so that is going to do it for us today. Hope you all enjoyed the trial. You maybe learned how to attach it up a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.